As most of you know, Overwatch 2 is an absolutely massive game, recently reaching 100 million players and averaging hundreds of thousands of players daily. It's hard to get a specific stat because obviously the game is multi-platform, and on PC you can choose to play either on Steam or Battle.net. So that splits the numbers massively. I personally play on PS5, which is why sometimes the gameplay in the back of my videos might look a bit slower than usual. Not because the game runs poorly on console, excluding the Switch because good lord, the Switch can't run this game, but because our highest sensitivity is just about the same as the lowest sensitivity on PC, and we have a capped frame rate. But don't worry, because in this video I'm going to talk about some of the best settings to have on PS5 in order to make the game A, run as smoothly as possible, and B, more enjoyable. Although, you're playing Overwatch 2, so you kinda get what you get, unfortunately. I'll get into the nitty gritty in a minute, but first I'm gonna ask you to subscribe and leave a like on this video, as I want to continue making Overwatch 2 related content that's not only entertaining, but educational too. So starting with latency, this setting isn't going to be in Overwatch 2, but rather in your actual PlayStation Wi-Fi settings. For some reason, Overwatch tends to be a lot laggier on console than it does on PC. Myself and one of my mates who also plays on PS5 are always the two victims of insane amounts of lag in our 5 stack, when the other 3 are generally not too laggy. One way we can fix this is by limiting the frequency of our Wi-Fi. Overwatch is a very beefy game and constantly pushes you to use the best settings, but if we go into network settings, set up internet connection, press select to bring up the options menu on your network, and set the Wi-Fi frequency bands to 5 GHz only, it will force the game to run at a lower capacity, which usually fixes lag spikes and rubber banding, because your console isn't fighting for its life in order to run the game. If you want to see your latency in-game, go into options, and on the second section of video, you'll find the display performance stats setting, which will show you your ping in the top left corner. Now moving on to frame rate, as I mentioned before, Overwatch always pushes you to use the best settings, and since the game is running on a new engine, it can sometimes be a bit choppy when it comes to the frame rate. To fix this, go into video options and change the preferred mode from resolution to frame rate. You don't have to change the gamma, contrast or brightness, as they're all your personal preference to tinker with. They don't really affect the frame rate. This does come at the cost of your game looking slightly worse, but it's honestly not even that bad. I'm gonna finish this video by talking about reticles and sensitivity, which are completely up to you and your own personal preference, but this is what I find works for me and what made me a lot more accurate once I changed to them. Starting with the reticle, I used a small crosshair with the dot disabled to keep it a lot more concise. The most important settings to have here are scale with resolution, as that adjusts the crosshair to fit the size of your monitor, and make sure show accuracy weapon spread is off, as that will throw you off your shots 9 times out of 10, since the reticle will be changing size based on how accurate your shot was, which can be extremely off-putting, especially in the heat of a fight. My horizontal sensitivity is capped at 95%, and my vertical sensitivity is capped at 80%, as I feel this allows me to turn a lot faster to adjust to fast movements and track enemies a hell of a lot easier, especially when it comes to an enemy on the ground. Vertical sensitivity doesn't really matter unless you're fighting a flying hero like Pharah, but horizontal sensitivity is the absolute must focus. You're going to be chasing people left and right more than you are up and down, but that just about does it for this video. Now remember, some of these settings are completely up to you and your own personal preference. You might find that actually you don't need to play with your preferred mode set to frame rate, and you can get away with running it on balanced or even resolution. These are just my settings as someone who plays a lot of Overwatch and has tweaked it to the point where it plays pretty much perfectly. Minus a few performance issues here and there, but that comes with every game nowadays. PC Master Race isn't even a funny meme anymore, it is just absolute facts. But as a more casual gamer, it's nice to play on console and just mess around with your friends. Anyways, thanks for watching. Once again, I'm going to ask you to like this video, as it lets me know that you find these videos not only to be helpful, but entertaining. Hopefully this video has helped you make Overwatch run a bit smoother, and maybe even slightly improved your gameplay. Finally, have a nice day or night if you're watching this at night, and make sure to check out my other videos. Not only will I appreciate it, but you might too.